must be an angel watching over me.
Hey, we are here with aSHLeY WaRNeR.
Hi.
I met her at an event for rain.
That's right.
And I was wondering if that's why it rained today, because you were coming over here and it's such an important topic that Mother Nature had to like feel it out too.
Well, I hope not. I hope I'm not bringing the rain. I think we're all ready for a non-precipitation day. But
I'll take rain over snow right now.
Yeah.
But of course you're talking about a very different kind of rain.
I am talking about a very different kind of rain.
Yes, I was speaking that night for, I am on the, a volunteer on the Speakers Bureau for RAIN, which is the Rape, Abuse, Incest National Network.
Yes, very serious.
Yes, it's very serious, but they are a wonderful organization. They're the largest anti-sexual violence organization in the United States, and they work for prevention, awareness, support for victims, as well as working to improve the justice system.
And they have a very high success rate, is this right?
They do, because of the work of RAIN and other anti-sexual violence organizations. The rate of sexual assault has actually dropped in the last 20 years by 50%, which
now,
is
where?
just astounding.
Does that mean in America?
In the United States.
Okay.
These are statistics for the U.S.
Yeah.
Except in the military, right? 'Cause that's still a big problem, right?
It is a big problem. I mean, obviously there's a lot of work to go, which is why we're trying to raise awareness.
Now this is reported incident.
Well, yes, you make a very good point. A lot of instances are still underreported.
Yeah,
People
are afraid to report.
They are. There's a lot of stigma against sexual assault, and for a lot of reasons. Before the work of a lot of the anti-sexual violence organizations like RAIN, it was especially difficult to come forward.
Do a lot of women not even like, subconsciously they don't even, I don't know, like I know it happens to so many people and they don't even realize that it is an incident, even though they know it is,
It's like a form of denial or something.
Well, they're afraid to report it for so many reasons.
Yeah.
Right, there's a lot of reasons. People could have had a bad experience with police in the past. They could be afraid to come forward for their safety.
Or ratting on somebody.
They could be afraid to rat on somebody. They could be afraid of the stigma. They could be... there's a lot of reasons. I think it's really important to respect people for their own decision whether to come forward or not. But of course, when people do come forward, it makes it a lot easier to reduce, ultimately, the instances of sexual violence, to raise awareness, and to catch more bad guys when it does happen.
Exactly. Now, you wrote a book about...
I did. I wrote a book. I myself am a survivor of sexual violence, which is one reason I got into advocating against sexual violence.
Good for you.
Thank you. My own ordeal was over 20, close to 22 years ago, actually.
You must have been very little.
I was very young. I was 24 years old, and incidentally, 80% of sexual assaults are perpetrated against people under the age of 30. So statistically, I was right in line there.
Wow.
So I put a lot of thought into whether or not to write this book. I can say in my personal life, sexual violence does not impact me in any way. I am not defined in any way by sexual violence anymore. So on the one hand, I thought, why do I want to come out with this story?
Right.
I'm doing just fine. And of course, I realized my trepidation to come forward was exactly a reason to come forward.
Right. Face it.
I got in touch with my own lingering fears about stigma and realized that this was a platform where I could help other people hopefully come forward and feel more comfortable with it.
And you're a therapist now.
And I am. I work full-time as a psychoanalyst and psychotherapist in Manhattan. I also work as a speaker and a workshop facilitator about sexual violence and personal empowerment and other issues.
Good for you. All right, so let's hear your work.
Okay, so I'm going to read a short excerpt from a chapter in the beginning called The Aftermath.
And the book is called?
I need my glasses. Hold on.
Let's just show it.
The book is called The Year After, a Memoir.
By aSHLeY WaRNeR.
By aSHLeY WaRNeR. Okay. Picked a bad day to quit, I whispered hoarsely, trying with shaky hands to light up. Then I paced some more. I'm going to be wearing turtlenecks all summer, I added, glancing in the hall mirror at the emerging bruises on my neck. The joke fell flat. Of course, if cute paramedic had chuckled at even one of my jokes, it would have meant the situation wasn't so serious. Any second, the chaos would have vanished. The emergency team would have broken into a Rodgers and Hammerstein number, and I would have marveled about how vivid my daydreams could be. Every second, I was surprised that didn't happen. But the rape really happened. That fact was indescribably baffling. I could not make sense of my afternoon. There was that moment on the stairs, a confused feeling as I was swept up by the neck. I screamed, then there was no more breath. Sweetheart, I've got to ask you some questions. Come sit down a minute, just for a minute. Did you see the man who did this to you? What did he look like? Was he lighter or darker than I am? It was becoming more difficult to communicate. I couldn't suck enough air through my squeezed windpipe, so talking left me out of breath. My neck throbbed in pain when I tried to laugh or swallow. Even whispering took effort. Somehow I managed to light another cigarette. Cute paramedic informed me he also needed to finish his examination. I'm so sorry, hon, he began. I need to see. I stood up and dropped my pants before he finished the sentence. He had probably anticipated some resistance to checking the scene of the crime given the circumstances, which was nice of him. Hell, I thought, what have I got to be shy about now? Thank you, he said, making notes on his clipboard. I pulled up my sweats with the intention to resume pacing. Before I could head down the hall, however, cute paramedic suggested instead that I go with him to the hospital for a full exam as well as to have my neck attended to. Ah, that's a better plan. I was grateful to be given any kind of direction. Okay. I knew the hospital would use a forensic rape kit to pick up traces of semen, hair, blood, urine, and whatever else might be considered valuable evidence for prosecution if the rapist was caught. I didn't know why I knew this, maybe from a crime show. Of course, prosecution didn't matter to me in that moment. I was operating strictly on a heartbeat-to-heartbeat basis. Most goings-on bounced off my super-safe shield of numb while my thoughts echoed weakly as though from a different body. Justice was an abstraction. I don't have health insurance, I remembered, my face flushing. Don't worry about it, cute paramedic said, shepherding me toward the door like an adult guiding a toddler. He didn't touch me, he simply made it difficult to advance in any other direction. Let's go. Let's go, just like that, go? I was really perplexed. We're gonna go without locking the apartment? I was raped less than an hour ago, I must lock up. Where are my keys? Why are you rushing me? Cute paramedic must have read my mind. Clarence will lock up, don't worry. I'll ride with you to the hospital. How? How will Clarence lock up? He doesn't have keys. Shouldn't I give him a copy of the keys? Why doesn't anyone else realize that Clarence doesn't have keys? Why do I have to think about this? How about my wallet? Don't I need that? Who's Clarence? I took it upon myself to bring my pocketbook, even though I couldn't figure out what to put in it. Like a little girl who must carry her dress-up purse to Pizza Hut with nothing but cherry-scented lip gloss and sparkly stickers inside, I was accommodated patiently. I didn't grasp the fact that my apartment was a crime scene, soon to be filled with investigators who would still be working when I returned. On the way out with my little purse, which held cigarettes and keys, I slipped deeper into haze as we passed through the 5th floor hall, down the steps, and out the door to another waiting paramedic in the ambulance. Did the neighbors watch? I don't know. I didn't care. I was a ghost. I rode to the hospital in the back of the ambulance, staring at a spot on the shiny steel wall. I tried to put it all together, which was hard because my head sailed miles above my body. There was that moment on the stairs, a confused feeling as I was swept up by the neck. I screamed, then there was no more breath.
Wow.
Oh, man.
Wow, that's a really well-written book, aSHLeY.
Well, thank you, ReW.
I'm telling you, like usually when people read, I zone out, but that makes me want to hear more. You do that really well.
I'm so glad you didn't zone out.
I
I'm
did.
so
I heard every word. I'm so like. So did you know the person?
I didn't.
Did they catch the person?
They did. My case is very rare. I actually saw my attacker caught and
It was a
sentenced.
break-in? Like a break-in?
It was a man who had been lurking in the vestibule of my building who followed me up the stairs, and when I opened it up, his hands were on my neck and grabbed me.
So it's like a classic Law and Order.
it is like a classic Law and Order, but I'd like to actually tell everybody that statistically speaking, that kind of man hiding in the bushes or under the stairs in my case is pretty rare. 2/3 of perpetrators are known to their victims, and as a matter of fact 38% are a friend or acquaintance. So people think about what happened to me as sort of the classic rape,
Right.
But actually it's usually by someone known to the victim.
That's much worse, obviously, to have somebody who's a close
They're all worse.
relative
I don't
or
know if
something.
there isn't much worse.
I mean, to have somebody as a relative or a close friend as opposed to a stranger, it must be even more traumatic, I would think.
It certainly is very traumatic, and socially it has a lot of implications as well. You know, I think it's a lot more, it's psychically more scary for all of us to recognize that it is typically someone known. It's a lot easier to perpetuate the myth that the victim had something to do with her own attack.
Yeah, like,
and
do you believe in
baloney.
Slut walk and all that stuff?
We really need to dispel that myth that it's you know, people out drinking too much and dressed scantily. And, you know, and I always really like to emphasize how insulting that is.
What were you wearing? Do you remember?
What was I wearing?
Yeah.
I was
Were you wearing something provocative?
Well, I was a young woman dressed in, I think, short cutoffs and shorts and a shirt. I was walking home from my waitressing shift. It was the middle of the afternoon, and my building, incidentally, is right next to a police station. No, a fire station. A fire station. So, and statistically speaking, most sexual assaults are in the victim's home.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So like, could you go back there? Did you move?
I did end up moving, but not for a few months. I think, as is a typical response, you're sort of numb at the beginning, and I think a lot of one reason a lot of people maybe don't come forward is because sometimes it takes you a while for it to really sink in what's happened.
Yeah.
You know, I was numb and felt, quote, fine for a while, and then a few months later you start having really intense reactions and anger comes up.
So when did you write the book?
I wrote the book about 4 or 5 years ago, actually, but I only just published it in last November.
Good for you. Good, like 2013 book.
It's on sale at Amazon.com and other online booksellers.
Called 1 year.
And it's called The Year After.
A year after. So do you think anyone's gonna like hit you up to make the movie? It sounds so visual. I mean,
it does.
You wrote so well, aSHLeY. Are you a writer? You are now.
I am now, and I do love to write. And you know, I certainly hope that this is a useful tool for a lot of people in recovery. But I hope it's a good read also
I don't
for
know
everyone.
why it seems like a really good read. I'm just thinking The Lonely Bones.
Yes, I love Alice Sebold's work. I actually did not read Lucky, which is her rape memoir. I purposely didn't read it, because I was writing a similar book.
Of course, I read it after,
fantastic.
and it's just
She's a fantastic writer.
It's amazing to me how people can recover from the trauma of something like this. There's a televangelist named Joyce Meyer who was abused by her father as a young girl, and she recovered from it, and to the point where she can minister and do the whole Christian gospel thing to people, having had that kind of trauma as a child. That to me is amazing, you know.
It is amazing, but it's possible, and that's hopefully what I can convey as well. I mean, it is possible to heal from this, especially when we can bring it out of the shadows.
Yeah. Where did you grow up?
I grew up in North Carolina.
So where did this happen?
This happened in New York. I've been in New York for many, many years.
So it was in New York.
It was in New York City, I'm afraid.
Darn it. Yeah, I didn't want it to be in New York.
But you know what? I'd like to.
It happens everywhere.
It happens everywhere. It does. It happens in everywhere. But it happened in New York, and I have to say the NYPD was fantastic. There was a sexual.
Very professional.
Yes.
At least they didn't touch you.
We've got to give them their props when they deserve them.
Exactly. Of course.
Yeah. It's just, you know, they've had special training which exists now as part of the movement to be more to offer more victim-centered care. There's special training about how to interview survivors now because it doesn't look like what you might expect a lot of the times. The victim might not be distraught and crying, and she might be fragmented and confused, and if you don't know what you're looking at, it can look like someone's making a false report, which is very rare. False reports are statistically very rare.
Did you go through therapy or programs to deal with this?
I did. In the immediate aftermath, I saw a rape crisis counselor out of the hospital where I was
Good for you. So you did all the right things.
Yeah, I saw a therapist, I did a rape support group, and I really recommend all of that.
Yeah, they really work.
They do. It gives you support if other people have been through it and a place to work through it.
It's an emotional wound.
It's an emotional wound.
Yeah, that, it's like a scar forever too. So how did you get back into dating and relationships and stuff like that?
Well, step by step, your life comes back together. It really does.
I see a ring on
I
your
am.
finger.
Yes, I'm a married lady now.
Good for you. So how long has that been?
My husband and I have been together going on 7 years.
Okay.
Married for 3.
So you were over the whole, you were through a lot of it.
Well, I was well through all of it.
Yeah.
I think.
Well, you seem to take the right steps to. You seem like a sturdy girl. Like I'm surprised you didn't kick him in the balls. He got you by the neck, right?
He did. I tried.
Good for you.
But
was he big?
He was bigger than I am. I'm a tiny woman, but.
Do you think he was waiting for you?
No, I don't think in this case it was not somebody who knew me or who I knew. In my case, which again is rare, he was, I think, just waiting for whoever was the next person to walk into the building.
Wow. Well, I don't know. I feel like you told a skeleton from your closet, but if you, yeah. So it is. I mean, unless you have another one you want to share.
If you have another skeleton,
like a funny one.
That's not really a skeleton because it's not something she
skeletons can be funny.
It's something that happened that it wasn't something she initiated doing. A skeleton is something you do. Right?
Oh, so are you the skeleton judge now, Mike McHugh?
I guess. I don't understand. I'm trying to learn the concept of the skeleton from the woman who...
You should hand out an instruction booklet then about what qualifies as a skeleton.
I'm pretty lax. I'm pretty out of the lines all the way. But how about when you were like 5 years old or something? Did you ever steal a piece of candy?
Oh yeah, I stole a piece of candy.
What'd you steal?
I have a better stealing story. Okay. When I was in high school, I worked for a retailer, and I stole a shirt.
Can you say from where?
I'm not going to say from where. You know what? I can't even say for where if I wanted to because I don't remember the name of the store.
Was it in?
But it was in a mall in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, where I'm from. And then I was wearing it, and I ran into my boss the next day.
Did she notice?
Oh yeah. They didn't fire me right away, but they searched the records for some record. So what I did is I wore it to work the next day. So then they were really confused. I just, figured I'd already been caught, so I'm just going to wear it, pretend like I bought it.
Wow, did you buy it?
Is that a skeleton?
Yeah, it is National Sticky Bun Day. Will you please have some sticky bun?
Oh my goodness, I need a sticky bun after sharing
after all that, right? Exactly. So do you have a website, how people can find you?
I do. People can find me on aSHLeY and they can find my book at theyearaftermemoir.com.
I love your book. I really do. Give it up for aSHLeY WaRNeR.
Thank you very much.